All right, I wanted to show this project that I'm working on, and I wanted to talk about how the CNC, all right, when it first came out, I'm like, this is gonna be like the digital camera. The digital camera killed artistic creativity in one sense. It added creativity, yes, but like it made it so easy that anyone can just point, click, and then you fix your problems. And I thought the CNC is just gonna ruin woodworking because I'm a hand tool classic woodworking guy. But then I worked at a place that had a CNC machine, and I realized, well, what if you apply what you know about joinery to the CNC and you use it to create beyond the norm? But here's the deal. This is the South Side Railroad Station. You see these windows, all right? I'm building a reception desk, and I can't for the railway station. And I came up with a design that's gonna have this replicated across the reception desk like a raised panel type of thing. So, here's the situation, all right? I wanna route this with a decorative route. So my first, hold on a minute, I gotta do this and yeah. All right, my first thing I did, I drew it up in V-carve and I had it like this, all right? And I split this in two so I could cut them with grain going this way and have a nice V in the middle. I'll show you in a minute. I like that and I don't, because I don't like having the joint right there, but I think this was the best way to do it. So this is what I did. Then I cut those out as a test. All right. One problem is it's hard to align these. There's nothing to register. They want to spin. So then also, when I route this part, how am I going to do that? Because I don't want to just run a router through here, because then you get that ugly rounded area that just looks like you ran a router through it. I want a nice point. So I thought about the joinery, and I thought, well, look, really this should be a miter. That route should end on a miter here, and this route should end on a miter here. So what I did was, and unfortunately I didn't save like all of this, but just I drew another arc 1/4 of an inch less radius because I'm routing it 1/4 of an inch in, and then I drew an arc here 1/4 of an inch, where this arc, from this arc to this arc, I drew a line, and that's my miter. I copied that, I pasted it, went over here, and this is now what it looks like. Now you have a miter here and here, and when you route that decorative edge, excuse me, that route will stop here, and that route will stop here. And I don't have this one routed. I'll show you one that I do in a minute, because we're going to go to the workbench. So now not only did that make it register, because that miter stops it from doing this, so it registers perfectly, but now you have a routed edge that's going to meet this routed edge. Then I had to make it 2 jigs for the router table. All right, this one is for routing the inside and outside of that little piece. And then this one is the same thing, but it's for routing the bigger piece. So what I would do, let me take one and just stick it in there. And I marked them all. And I put the marked side down. And I'm not gonna, just for the sake of making this video quick, I'm not gonna try to stick it all the way in there, but you see what I mean. I would run it through like this. I would set it up with the bit up here, run it through to route this edge, and then I set it up with the bit here, ran it through to route that edge. Now, then I did the same thing with this for the larger circle. The larger circle is not going to get a decorative edge here, only here. Now, these automatically come to a miter, but you see where I made that miter joint? Now, when I put these together, boom, you have an inside route that comes to a nice clean point. And overall, I'm happy with this. The one thing I don't like, I've got to make sure I get this absolutely tight, or that's gonna show. And one thing I don't like is now I made these so the grain went this way. I did not think about the fact that here your grain is gonna meet, it's gonna have a piece that mounts here that comes straight down, and the grain's gonna abruptly change. And then I'm gonna route these little circles to go here to mimic that feature on the window. And that is our piece, and it does fit together. I'm just trying to hold my phone, film, and put this together at the same time. But I promise they're tight joints when you do it right. And this comes together nicely. And now you have a nicely routed on the inside piece. And so that's applying what I knew about mitering on a circle and how to make a route miter together, but applied that to the CNC. And that's where I think the CNC can be a good thing. It can help you to create. And what I did, so this is how I cut them out on a board. And so I had room to cut it. I only need one of these circles per grouping, but I cut two because I think they're going to be hard to route when I route the decorative edge, so I can mess one up for every one of them. So what I did, I started, before I punched these out, I put A, B, 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 C, 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 blah, blah, blah. That way, they all go together the way they came off the wood, so the wood matches better. I did have a problem here. I tried to route this inside edge. I thought, well, I can do that without the jig. But when you get to here, boy, it bit and it threw this across the room. So you need the jig. So, and unfortunately, I can't find the other piece, so I'm gonna have to remake this one. I'm gluing up that one. That one did the same thing before I said, okay, got to use the jig. And now all this fuzz will sand off. I think overall it's going to be pretty cool. And so one problem with this walnut, man, oh my gosh, it moved like crazy. I mean, it really moved when we cut it. And I had to mill it down a little more than I thought. But anyway, and pardon if the video's shaky, but I just wanted to show how I kind of went from this to this miter. And you'll see, like, if I try to slide that, it's going to slide until it gets right there. And that miter kind of hits. And I'm trying to push it, and you see it's kind of locked together, and it locks together flat. So that worked out really well. So taking the CNC and applying what you know about joinery, you can create in new ways. So I think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a negative. I still, though, I just want to say I have not given up on hand tools. I am a hand tool guy. I do a lot of hand woodworking, and I make moldings by hand. But, you know, in order to be productive, I do have to also use technology. But that's something I thought I would show. Thought it came out pretty well. I'll try to get a video when it's all done. Cheers.